Welcome to the Intentional Hustle, where grit meets greatness. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Hancock, and today's episode is personal. If you've ever stood at the crossroads between what you've done and what you could become, this one's for you. After 25 years in higher education, teaching, building workforce programs, initiating student success and engagement initiatives, and creating leadership development strategies on multiple college campuses in multiple states, I stepped away in 2022. And let me tell you, retirement is a complex and challenging thing. However, I didn't retire. I pivoted. Initially, I tried my hand at life insurance, became a notary public, and even launched an income tax business. Each of those ventures had a purpose. But something was missing. The fire, that soul-stirring clarity and purpose that moved me all those years. I wasn't just looking for work, I was searching for the why. I realized that I needed to move from busy to intentional. That realization led me back to something simple, something true, my camera. But this time, it wasn't just a tool, something to do, but a calling. My camera became more than a lens. It became a compass. It didn't just help me focus on what was in front of me. It helped me frame what truly mattered. In the hustle, your vision can blur. But the camera reminded me to zoom in on purpose, adjust my exposure to the light I still carry, frame the narrative, and capture moments that move the soul. It brought me back to myself, quietly, powerfully. Because sometimes rediscovery isn't loud. It's rooted vision and direction, and it's deeply personal. That's what this episode is about. From classroom, boardroom, to camera, crafting your next chapter. This isn't just a story about changing careers. It's about reclaiming purpose, rewriting your mission with grit, clarity, and intention, and doing it on your terms. Today, we're going to frame this journey through the timeless wisdom of Stephen Covey's 7 habits of highly effective people. Let's dive in. Habit 1 in Covey's framework is be proactive. And let me tell you, leaving higher education after 25 years wasn't just stepping away from a job. It was stepping out of an identity I had worn for over a quarter of my life. I initially believed I had to replace the rhythm of work with something, anything, to feel useful again. I signed up for roles like life insurance, notary work, and tax preparation, thinking productivity would fill the void. But deep down, I wasn't being proactive. I was reacting. I was responding to the silence, disconnection, and loss of rhythm and relevance that a career often brings. I was chasing activity, not alignment. And that's when I had to pause, to ask myself not a what can I do, but a what do I need? What brings me peace, purpose, and joy? What helps me feel alive again? That mindset shift from filling time to fulfilling purpose was the beginning of reclaiming my life with intention. But proactivity is more than just movement. It's alignment. It's not about staying busy. It's about tuning in. So I got still. I asked myself a deeper question. What brings me peace, purpose, and joy? The answer wasn't loud. It wasn't strategic. It was soulfully stirring. It led me back to my camera, not out of urgency or ego, but from a quiet need to reconnect with myself and with my creativity and the parts of life that make one feel alive. Through the lens, I began to see again, not just the world, but myself. I wasn't chasing performance. I was answering a call to create, to feel, and to grow. And now I'll ask you, what passion or purpose have you placed on pause, just waiting for you to press play again? Habit 2 says, begin with the end in mind, reminding us to live by design, not by default. So, when I set out to launch Anthony Hancock Photography, I didn't ask, how can I make a living? I asked, what kind of life do I want to create in this next chapter? This wasn't about chasing a paycheck. It was about reclaiming purpose, It was about asking myself, who am I now? What do I still have to offer? That reflection led me to write a personal mission statement, something I had never done before. I encourage you to do the same. Mine came down to 4 words: create, uplift, capture, and empower. I don't just want to take photos. I want to see people, honor their truth, and tell their stories with dignity. That's not just a business mindset, but who I am. So I'll ask you this: where are you headed? What legacy do you want to leave? Don't skip this question. It's not pressure, it's your compass. Once I understood the legacy I wanted to leave, the next step was clear. I had to build with purpose. Legacy isn't about what you dream. It's about what you do daily to bring that vision to life. That's where habit 3 comes in. Put first things first. Build the business with intention became my anchor during the shift from educator to entrepreneur. I approached building Anthony Hancock photography like a dissertation. I created a weekly plan and blocked out time for the big rocks, learning editing software, understanding the tools and structure of photography, and building my brand. I developed skills in photo editing, creating website landing pages, utilizing CRMs and effective client communication. I learned how to write clearly, automate booking systems, and understanding marketing funnels. Most importantly, I cut distractions, less scrolling, more shooting. You see, this wasn't just about taking photos. It was about laying a foundation. I said no to what looked urgent and yes to what built real lasting growth. Photography wasn't a hobby. It became the foundation of my entrepreneurial hustle. I said no to urgent but unimportant tasks and yes to strategic growth. Remember, your calendar reflects your priorities. What's showing up on yours? Let's talk about collaborating across communities. One of the most challenging transitions from academia was losing the daily connection with students, colleagues, and the community. However, habit 4, think win-win, reminded me that success isn't a solo act. I partnered with local creative people and offered headshots to emerging professionals. I traded sessions for mentorship. That collaboration led to opportunities. You see, it's never about taking. It's about trading value. Here's your challenge. Make a deposit in someone's emotional bank account this week. Stephen Covey says, when the trust account is high, communication is easy, instant, and effective. This quote underscores how consistently making deposits through kindness, honesty, keeping promises, and showing respect builds trust and strengthens relationships. When that emotional balance is high, connection flows more naturally, whether in family, business, or community. Build trust. You'll be surprised by what returns. As we shape the identity of our brand and ourselves, there's one tool more powerful than strategy or skill: listening, not just to clients, trends, or critics, but to the voice within. Habit 5 reminds us to seek first to understand and then to be understood. Sometimes it means understanding yourself first. What is your soul whispering? What does your creativity quietly crave? The answers didn't shout for me. They unfolded in journaling, prayer, and quiet moments of reflection after a photo walk through city streets. Little by little, clarity surfaced. Listening became my compass, not just in business, but in becoming. Your pivot doesn't need to be loud, but it should be true. That inner clarity didn't just shape how I moved, it reshaped who I partnered with and how I created. Which brings us to habit 6, synergize. Elevate through community. I realized that growth doesn't happen in isolation, but in collaboration. I took what I knew from higher education, curriculum design, research, people engagement, leadership, mentorship, and storytelling. I fused it with what I was learning in business, branding, visual identity, and digital marketing. The result? a dynamic mix of academic disciplines and artistic passion. Collaboration isn't addition, it's multiplication. Don't silo your experiences, blend them. That blend of structure and soul taught me something deeper. Sustainable success requires more than output, it requires renewal. Which brings us to the habit 7, sharpen the saw, which reminds us that the grind means nothing without grounding. I protect my mornings with intention. I stretch, walk, reflect, and review my goals every day. I make time to shoot for myself, not just for clients, because creativity can't thrive on empty. This rhythm of hustle and harmony keeps me sharp. It enhances my personal growth by keeping me aligned with what matters most: peace, purpose, and presence. Professionally, it fuels sustainability. A sharpened saw cuts cleaner. A balanced life creates better work. Rest isn't a reward, it's the strategy. When we prioritize alignment over exhaustion, we don't just sustain, we evolve. And evolution demands action. So, as we wrap today's episode, let's shift from reflection to momentum with 5 intentional moves you can start making right now to craft your next chapter. 1. Design with the end in mind. Don't chase every opportunity. Align your work with your purpose and let your mission be the filter. 2. Hustle with intention. Carve out weekly time for your big rocks, those priority goals that move the needle. Plan, execute, and refine with focus. 3. Make it synergistic. Your past isn't behind you, it's part of your power. Leverage every experience to fuel your next chapter. 4. Sharpen your saw daily. Protect your peace. Build habits that renew your energy, physically, mentally, and creatively. And 5. Craft your personal mission statement. 4 words, 1 clear direction. Let it guide what you say yes to and what you walk away from. And finally, if there's one step that ties it all together, it's this. Number 5. Craft your personal mission statement. Just 4 words, 1 powerful direction. Let it be your filter for what you commit to and what you release. Your mission isn't just a statement, it's your anchor. Because of this journey, it's more than a hustle. It's a blueprint for living and creating with intention. Your next chapter doesn't need certainty. It requires clarity, courage, and a commitment to grow forward. This is more than a hustle. It's a blueprint for living and creating with intention. Thank you for tuning in to The Intentional Hustle, where grit meets greatness. If you felt seen, heard, or motivated today, consider sharing this episode with someone embarking on their next chapter. Please follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky, or tag your story with number The Intentional Hustle. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Hancock. Until next time, sharpen your saw, walk in purpose, and hustle like a legend.
You know what's fascinating about career transitions? Most people think it's about finding a new job, but I just learned about someone who completely reinvented himself after 25 years in higher education, and the way he did it challenges everything we think we know about second acts in life.
That's really interesting. What made this transition so different from the usual career change story?
Well, what's unique is how Dr. Hancock approached it. Instead of rushing into a new career, he systematically tested different paths. He tried life insurance, became a notary, even started a tax business. But here's the key insight. He wasn't just trying random things, he was searching for what he calls soul-stirring clarity.
That reminds me of recent data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that the average person changes careers. Not just jobs, but careers. 5 to 7 times in their lifetime. But most people don't approach it with such intentionality.
Exactly right. And what's particularly fascinating is how he applied Stephen Covey's principle of being proactive. Instead of just reacting to the void left by leaving academia, he started asking deeper questions about purpose and fulfillment.
You know what strikes me about his approach? The way he treated this transition like an academic research project. Can you talk more about how he structured that?
Oh man, this is where it gets really interesting. He literally approached building his photography business like writing a dissertation. He created what he calls big rocks, these core focus areas including technical skills, business development, and brand building. And get this, he spent about 75 to 80 hours a week just on learning and development before he even started taking paid clients.
That's such a different approach from what we typically hear about career changes. Most people just jump right in and try to figure it out as they go.
Right. And here's another surprising element. Studies show that only about 30% of career changers actually succeed in their transition within the first year. But by taking this methodical approach, Dr. Hancock was able to build a sustainable business model from the start.
The way he integrated his past experience is pretty clever too. Instead of starting from scratch, he leveraged his curriculum design and mentorship background, didn't he?
It's absolutely fascinating how he did that. He took principles from educational psychology and applied them to client relationships, used his research skills for market analysis, and, get this, even structured his photography packages like course curricula. This is what business consultants call skills portability, and studies show it can increase success rates in career transitions by up to 40%.
That's such a powerful insight about not discarding your past experience, even when making a dramatic change. How did he handle the psychological aspects of such a big transition?
Well, this is where his four-word mission statement comes in: create, uplift, capture, empower. According to transition psychology research, having a clear personal mission can reduce career change anxiety by up to 60%. He used these words as a filter for every decision he made.
The way he maintains balance in his new career is pretty impressive too, especially that morning routine he developed.
You know what's interesting about that? He actually based it on research showing that creative professionals who maintain structured morning routines are 23% more productive. He calls it his rhythm of hustle and harmony, combining strategic planning with creative freedom.
So, what would you say are the key takeaways from his experience for anyone considering a major career change?
Well, looking at both his experience and the broader research, three things stand out. First, intentional exploration beats rushed decisions. Spend time testing different paths. Second, leverage your existing skills in new ways. Don't start from zero. And third, this is crucial, build systems and routines that support both productivity and creativity.
That really challenges the conventional wisdom about career transitions being all about quick pivots and following your passion.
Exactly. And here's what I find most compelling. Recent studies show that successful career changers spend an average of 18 months planning and preparing for their transition. It's not about speed, it's about intentionality and building a strong foundation for long-term success.
Sounds like the key is finding that balance between taking action and being thoughtful about the process.
And that's really the heart of it. It's about making what he calls rooted decisions rather than reactive ones. In fact, career transition experts now recommend spending at least 25% of your transition time in reflection and planning rather than jumping straight into action.
And maybe that's the real lesson here. Success isn't just about switching careers, it's about aligning who you are with what you create. Dr. Hancock didn't just build a business, he built a life that honors his story, his skills, and his soul.
Which means your next chapter doesn't have to be a break from your past. It can be a beautiful continuation, one that's crafted with clarity, lived with intention, and powered by purpose.
So if you're standing at your own crossroads, take the time to pause, reflect, reimagine. Because the best transitions aren't rushed, they're written with care.
And just like Dr. Hancock's journey from classroom to camera, maybe your pivot isn't about changing who you are. Maybe it's about finally becoming who you were meant to be. So whether you're standing at the edge of reinvention or quietly questioning what's next, remember this: your journey doesn't have to follow anyone else's map. You get to design it with intention, with courage, and with the fullness of who you've always been.
Dr. Hancock's story is more than a career pivot. It's a blueprint for transformation. One built not on impulse, but on integrity. Not on pressure, but on purpose. And that's what we're about here on The Intentional Hustle. Aligning your next step with your deepest why. And choosing the kind of success that doesn't just look good, but feels right.
So take that breath, make that plan, move like your future depends on it, because it does. Until next time, stay rooted, stay relentless, and remember, this hustle, it's not random, it's intentional.